Howdy folks, Chris here from CC Detecting and Scrapping with another quick video in the what to expect when you pick up a basic home system, home computer system. Beside me here I have a keyboard, mouse, and speakers, and we're going to go through those real quick and just go through some of the common things in that you'll find in pretty much every keyboard, speaker set, and mouse. For those of you who haven't taken one apart before. Let me flip the camera around here and I'll just show you something real quick. Alright, so we have here the mouse. These aren't like the old style mouses that had the trackball in them, but these are pretty common now. You get the wheel or without the wheel. You can get wireless. You can get the thumb track ones where instead of the ball being on the bottom, it actually you put your hand on it and you rotate your thumb. I've seen a few of those. They're not as common as they used to be years ago. I know my mom's a big fan of them, but I could never get the hang of it, so I've always preferred using the mouse. Most mice nowadays are USB, so you'll get a USB end. These wires are usually a type of shielded wire, and the USB end will have some gold pins in it. Computer keyboards, the basics of them are very much the same. They have a bunch of keys, and it's the extras that come with it. You can get some that they'll have USB ports along the top or along the sides. This one I don't think has any. You can get volume dials or extra buttons that'll take you to, like, to your email, your home, stuff like that. You can get I'm trying to think of what other ones I've seen now where some of them will have a different key set or an extra key set, and then they'll have a couple extra circuit boards as well to handle that. So just little things like that. But this is a basic keyboard. We have your standard key set with your numbers, your standard buttons up top, and a couple of those little ones I was telling you about, like this is probably for home, email, calculator, that kind of stuff, or they might be programmable when you got this compact system. For speakers, basic home speakers for your computer, they're pretty cheaply made. These ones are all plastic and they're very light, so the speaker inside won't be very big. They come with just a little bit of cabling. I believe this one is just a single input, so you just plug this into the green port of your sound card, and that controls all your sound. They will have a power supply, and I'll show you a quick way of cracking open these power supplies and getting the transformer out. So let's start with the mouse, and we'll go from there. Just let me get set up real quick, and I'll be right back. So what we have here is just the mouse. This one here is held together with one screw at the bottom. Some of them will have a screw at the bottom and a screw at the top. The old trackballs sometimes have the screws inside. And that's pretty much it. They come apart pretty simple. We'll just pop that one screw out and show you. So there we go. That'll go into your tin bin. And then on the inside, this is, we're in luck, it's a recyclable plastic, but there's a piece of metal in there first we need to take out. And then there's the, oops, that was the track wheel. And then there's the circuit board. So this one here is not a very high-end one. I have pulled these out before. Maybe there's a little bit of gold plating on there. But I pulled these out before where the chip in the middle has gold-plated fingers going into the board, as well as gold-plated socket holes to hold it in for the various devices. So some boards are gold bearing, some aren't. But again, this one would just be a low-grade board once you take the pins off. And we'll just pop that piece of steel off real quick. There we go. And then that can just go right into your circuit board bin to be sorted later, or however you process your boards. The cable itself, as you can see here, usually when you have this heat shrink, you can just pull that off and you can see that there is a little bit of blue metal shielding in there. I'm not sure if that's a tin or aluminum or what it is, but I cut the end off here, and that will go into just my end bin. I have a bin for just ends like that. And then we take a look at this. Now for these, what we can do first is if you're not used to this, you'll check. And it's a metal casing on these. Some of them will be brass, but we want to get those gold pins out. So the way I do that is I take my side snips and I cut the end so we can get that good, and peel that back so that we can get access to the casing. There we go. This does work a lot easier when you're not on camera, of course, eh? So there we go. And then I try to get a little bit of a lip going, so like that, and then we can just peel it back like so. And there we go. Now you can see that we have gold bearing pins in there. These sometimes are pretty easy to come out and sometimes not. So this one, we're lucky, it came out real easy. That can just go right in the garbage. And then we're left with 4 exposed gold pins, gold plated pins, which we can then just, if they're not gold all the way down, we can just give them a couple quick bends. And of course there's always one that wants to be troublesome. There we go. And so now we have all the gold bearing part of the gold plated pins taken out. We'll put those in a bin to be processed later. Cut the end off. I just throw that into my tin bin. This goes into my shielded cable bin. And then I'll take that piece of steel out and I'll put that into my recycled plastic bag. So that's about it for the mouse. Let's move on to the keyboard. Alright, so for the keyboard, again, they're all built pretty much the same for the USB ones. Again, we have a USB end on there. We can take care of that now. I showed you on the mouse one how to do it, so I won't do that one on camera. They come apart though. Some of them will have 5 screws. This one, we're lucky, we get, looks to be about 12. I've seen, or maybe 10. I've seen some that have a lot more than this, and they're pretty annoying to take apart, but let me get these screws out and then we'll pop the back off and I'll show you what's inside. Alright, so we got the screws out. Most are pretty easy to take apart. This one has, even though the screws are out, it still has a little snaps on the side here. You can see them that are clipped into the plastic, so it doesn't want to quite come out, so we'll just, or actually it might even have some screws under the feet. The old hidden screw trick. Yeah, let's take a look. And there we go. A couple of hidden screws in there. So let's pull the feet off. There's another one, and then we'll undo that one as well. Those are always a good time. And we now have them taken apart. So we'll take a look at this real quick. There's no metal on here. There's nothing here that signifies that I should throw it in my recycle bin. So here are the recycle numbers. I'm not sure if they're going to show up on camera or not. For my recycle company that has weekly pickups, I need a number in here, either 1 through 7. If it doesn't have that number, it won't let me put it in the bag. Even though I can pull out or I can do one of these keyboards that's a little bit newer and it'll have the number. They seem to be pretty picky about that for some reason. I'm not too sure if the composition of the plastics changed or how that works or legislation. So anyway, so unfortunately this one will have to go into my garbage bin, which my landfill actually does a really good job of processing the plastic anyway. So, but besides the point, let's get inside the keyboard here and see what we got. We have just a piece of plastic press pad. Same with this one, there's nothing really on it. So that'll go right into the garbage bin. We have one screw holding in a plate here, and then a couple of screws, sorry, one screw over here, one up here, and then a couple holding in the circuit board. Alright, so after a little bit of cursing and whatnot, we got those out. For some reason those screws are in just a lot tighter than they needed to be. So we end up with a piece of tin there. I'm pretty sure it's tin. We'll just check the magnet. So there we go, tin. We have one circuit board here. Let's pull that out. So now this circuit board, even though it's considered a low-grade board, still has gold pins for us to remove at a later time when we process our circuit boards. So that's a pretty good board. Let's see, the weight plate, or however you want to call it, that one's tin, so we'll just throw that in the tin pile. And then we have one cable here, which we'll just pull out, and there we go. And then this plastic is again just the garbage type plastic. Now for this part here is called silver mylar, and that is, I don't know what that is. This part here is called silver mylar. What this is, it's like a silver trace, which is, you know, when you press the little buttons there, it sends a touchpad to the contact, which then sends a signal to here, which then the circuit board processes, and that's how you type. But there is a process when you get enough of these that you can take the silver out of the silver mylar, but you need quite a bit, a couple pounds at least, to make it worth your while, I'm told. I haven't done it myself yet, but when I get a box full of mylars, then we'll go on that adventure together. And then the end here for this one here is not a gold plated pin end, so we can just cut that end right off. The ground wire, I just checked, this is a brass, so we'll throw that in our plated brass bin. And then we have a little bit of ferrite at the bottom. So let me get this part cleaned up and then we'll move on to the speakers. Alright, so the last thing we're going to look at for this video are speakers. These are just your very generic type ones. They come with just a single plug-in type, and sometimes these are metal, sometimes these aren't. So this will be a brass, we'll just cut that off. Just like so. And we'll put that into a bin. I have a bin for those. The wires just look to be insulated. Now, to get these out, it's just a matter of prying these are just a cheap plastic speaker cover. So we'll just pry those off. There we go. And now here we have 4 screws to take off this cover, which will give us access to the speaker. Instead of you watching me take screws out, how about I stop that and we'll get to the next stage. Alright, so we got all the screws out. One thing I wanted to mention about these covers, this one I know it's cloth, but some of these can be an aluminum or tin covering as well. So just check that real quick before you decide to throw it out. And this is just obviously a plastic mesh back, or a plastic backing, so those will just go in the garbage. We have inside here, this is the non-control speaker, or however you want to say it. So this one comes apart pretty easy. We just snip the wires, and then we'll take these screws out here in a second. But for speakers, this is usually a magnet. No, it's not usually. It is a magnet. And then inside this magnet part, there will be a tiny bit of copper. And then there's a little bit of copper going from, you can see the where the attachments are. You can see a little braided copper thread going from there to the inside the speaker. Speakers this size, I usually don't worry too much about the little bit of copper inside. It's really more effort than it's worth, but that's up to you if you want to do it that way. So, and then on the control speaker side, we get a little circuit board here to go with everything. Let's pull that out. So this little circuit board here, pretty basic. It's just a low grade board. We'll have a little push button for power on and off, and then a potentiometer to adjust the volume size. So we'll just clean that up, snip some wires out there, and then we'll go from there. And then I'll pull the speaker off as well, and then we can move on to the power supply. Alright, so I got the speakers off, and I just wanted to show you what I mean. So this is the base. So this is what they look like. This is the base. Inside there is the speaker, or is the magnet part of the speaker. And then, oops, I'll just throw that on the floor. And then right there is that little bit of tiny copper winding I was telling you about. If you really do want it, there is, you can see right there we have 2 lines going to it. One of them, you have to turn, I'm not too sure which one it is right now. But you take a little X-Acto knife or something there, and you can pop it off the cardboard, and then it'll unwind if you want. I usually don't bother, like I said. I just throw them. These size go right into my tin bin just like this. All right, and the last thing to look at is the power adapter for the speakers. So snip the end off. It appears to be a type of brass end, so we'll throw that in the brass end pile. We have these will be brass plugs here, and then inside there'll be a transformer and sometimes a type of low-grade board. So let me get the camera set up and I'll show you how I get into these. Take my hammer here and I just give it a couple of pretty good whacks without hitting myself. And you can see that it's starting to crack open there. And then once we get enough cracked open, well, that one actually even broke the transformer apart. So that's a piece of tin from the transformer. Zoom out. We have this here. So this is the transformer part. It's obviously one that we can take apart since it's already partially apart. And then what we'll do is we'll just hammer this steel part out of the transformer and then get the copper out. So those ones are pretty easy to take apart. And then we end up with a little bit of a low-grade board. Just cut our wires off. That'll go into it'll go into your low-grade pile for me. It just goes right into my circuit board bin. And if there's anything good on there, I'll take it off later. And that's about it for transformers. Like I said, this here is the type that you can easily pound the metal out and then get access to the copper. These are some little brass plugs, so we'll pop those out. I'll probably need a couple of pliers. So I'll use some pliers and take those out, and that's it for how to crack a transformer. So that about wraps up for this video. You know, mouse, keyboard, and speakers for the home computer system, your basic sets are all pretty similar, so there shouldn't be too much deviation around that unless you get some really old stuff. Or some of the newer stuff, the wireless will have a battery port as opposed to a cable, things like that. So, like I said though, this is just basic. This is just covering the basic stuff that you should find in your average home user setup. So, I hope you found this informative. It's fun taking this stuff apart, I find. So, you know, I can do this stuff all day long. It's pretty good, especially when I get to hit stuff with a hammer. So again, thanks for watching. You know, if you do something a little bit different, leave a comment down there. If you have a suggestion for something that I can do different, let me know, and we'll go from there. So again, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.